The US and Israel have launched another war, this time with Iran. The US military has bombed multiple Iranian nuclear sites, potentially risking the lives of thousands of US troops in the region. This war is about regime change. Topple Iran's leader and replace him with a puppet that is friendly to our wants and needs. And our media, the propaganda machine, is in full force to sell us another war. The Iran deal was working, Obama's one decent move, and Trump tore it to shreds, not because of nukes, but because Iran challenges US Israel control over the Middle East. Same with Gaza. It's not about Hamas or hostages. If it were, Israel would cut a deal or target fighters. Instead, they're killing civilians and blowing up hospitals. They call it self defense while the US hands them the weapons. Phase one is to kill Iran's military leaders and scientists, as well as civilians, and pretend it's restrained. When Iran responds cautiously, they will use this as a green light to escalate, targeting officials like their supreme leader Khamenei. The end game is total state collapse, like they did in Libya and Syria. They'll unleash CIA and Mossad-funded terrorist groups, arming them for massacres. It's about turning Iran into a bloodbath of ethnic division and death squads. The lies are shameless. Netanyahu is on Fox News spewing garbage about Iran plotting to nuke the US or assassinate Trump. No evidence, just vibes. The New York Times is out here whining about anti-Semitism while Israel bombs Iran unprovoked. Warhawks claim that Iran's building a nuke, when US intelligence says there's no evidence of this claim. It's Iraq 2003 all over again. Remember when Netanyahu stood in front of Congress saying that Saddam Hussein had nukes? Well, look how that turned out. This is about empire, plain and simple. Iran, with its axis of resistance, Russia and China, is the last big roadblock to US-Israel domination. They want Iran gone before it gets a nuke, because a nuke means instant deterrence, and their collapse of Iran's regime plan will fail. If Iran bombed US generals and scientists, we'd be screaming World War III. But when Israel does it, it's normal. Western media calls Iran's restrained missile strikes outrageous while cheering on Israel's right to defend itself. Americans are too busy getting poorer, sicker, and crushed by police at protests to notice that our money is being funneled to prop up Israel, while we have no safety net. This was avoidable. The Iran deal was working, and Gaza talks were possible. But the US and its worst actors, the Pentagon and Netanyahu, bypassed the diplomatic path. They do not want peace. They want control and domination. The US is not staying out of Israel's fights. In fact, it's balls deep, bolstering their defenses and greenlighting their carnage. We're drowning in lies from Iranian sleeper cells to Iran's nukes, with claims of millions of Iranians hiding in the US waiting to strike. It's absurd, but our media repeats these lies. A US intelligence assessment has found that the US bombing of these Iranian nuclear sites only set back the program a few months and did not destroy the core components. Iran, showing restraint, sent a few symbolic missiles at empty US military bases, another calculated response. For weeks, Trump tricked Iran using fake diplomacy while he backed Israel's unprovoked attack. And then he launched an attack of his own, bragging about a ceasefire he brokered while Israel continues striking. Iran's president said that Iran is not seeking a nuclear weapon, but it maintains its legitimate rights, referring to its civilian energy program. Iran wants to be prepared to develop a nuke if it is deemed necessary, but they are not on a path to do so, and US intelligence backs up this idea. Think what you want about the internal politics of Iran, but the West needs to get out of their business. The good news is that despite these attacks, the country has been brought closer together, and our regime change plan has been pushed back. Iran gave Israel a rude awakening in their retaliation, one they were not expecting. Iran is an ally to Palestine, an ally to their resistance against imperialism, and they stood up to the largest threat to peace, the US and Israel.